I think it just comes down to like building off of that. But last year, we haven't really talked about it this year. Like it doesn't really matter. So, kind of us being able to improve each day and like step up the standard, step up our game, just have a better outcome, more success.
Kind of following up on that, I wonder what the summer was like for you guys, and with Coach Lee especially. I mean, did he elevate the expectations this summer just to kind of say, look, everybody knows what we can do now. Let's make sure we don't slip or anything like that?
I mean, there's definitely expectations after the spring that's set for the summer, and that's pretty much do your duties, stay fit, keep working at it. And so a lot of us played on summer teams. Like I played on a summer team in Minnesota, a couple other girls on the team did. So really just trying to like stay around the game, stay fit, and be ready coming back into season. So that was the expectation.
What was it like to get back together? Because like one of the last times you guys were together, you were hoisting trophies and all the fun that comes with the celebration. And did it feel like, oh yeah, we just did this, let's do it again, or was it more of a new beginning, lock in and get serious?
I think there was a lot of like we've done this before, but I think there's also a lot of this is a whole new team, a whole new season, whole new set of expectations and standards, individually and as a team. So I think it was helpful that a bunch of us have been here before, but there's also a ton of new kids like there was last year. So just building off of that.
How helpful to know what Coach Lee expects, what he's about, how it is to be around him. I mean, how much different does it feel now than maybe at this time last year?
Oh, for me, it's so helpful, like playing a season under Coach Lee, especially because we all know the system, returners, and so it's just bringing the newcomers into the mix. But I personally feel a lot more comfortable in this style of play. I think the returners from last year feel comfortable as well, and we're able to pass that along to the newcomers. So I think we'll be even better than last year.
What the preseason honor mean to you? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to get that honor. I'm grateful and blessed, and I just think it's an honor to be recognized among like many talented and amazing players. So very grateful, but it's also a preseason award, so there's more work to be done for me individually and as a team.
Coach Lee had a couple of interesting comments after the NCAA game last year. At one point, it may have been off the top, he said, hopefully this fuels us into the off season. Do you feel like it did, being able to get to the tournament, get a taste of that 8-game stretch down the stretch at the end of the season to win the Big 12 tournament? Did that spark a fire maybe you didn't have before going to the off season?
Personally, for me, I feel like it totally did. I was like, did not want to lose like that. Thought we had so much more in us, so much more to play for, and obviously at some point your season's going to come to an end, and I wasn't ready for it to come to an end there, but I think having something to just motivate you day in and day out has been really helpful for me, and I think the team, because the team did not want to end it like that either.
Yeah, for me, for sure, it makes me excited about this season. I think I've never made an NCAA tournament, and I've been here for 2 years before Coach Lee, and so just like you said, getting a taste of that makes you super excited for what's to come. And I know what we're capable of now, and I'm excited to see how far we can go this year. So definitely super hopeful and optimistic about that.
Coach had another thing that sort of stuck with me after the game. He said, there's going to be friction when you have a higher standard. And Lexi told me after practice this morning, she thought things clicked. Everybody bought in late in the year. What was the connection there? Was that it? Buying in? You had goals, you had to get hot, and you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I would say it's definitely the buy-in from every single player on the team. That's what Coach Lee was pushing for us in preseason, beginning of the season, for us to really buy into the concepts, the system of play that he was teaching. And I think once we all did that on our own timeline, it came together when it did. And so for me, if we can buy in even earlier into the season, I think we can do even more and get the results that we want. So I'm looking forward to it with the team.
Jill, did you see that?
I personally saw that too. I think we were all trying to figure everything out at our own times, and then we finally, something just clicked. And it made like a completely different team. We were completely different players. We just had this sense of like, we can do this and we can take down this team and we can get to the Big 12 tournament, make it to the NCAA tournament. And there was no questions asked after everything just clicked.
Coach Lee told me after practice he sees you as an all-conference player, being able to deliver at that level. It's consistency, being able to play at a high level all the time. Is that something that consciously you think of? I mean, nobody wants to have a lull necessarily in their game, but how do you perform at a high level all the time?
I think I kind of go into every game just like knowing what I want to do and having things to fall back on. If my touches aren't great, my passes aren't great, I missed a shot, but I can fall back, have things I can fall back on, like completing a first pass and stuff, because I know consistency is so important. And last year I learned it kind of the hard way in a sense, because I went through a few games that was really difficult for me. But then just getting back the confidence, and then once you start being consistent, you start seeing the little successes, then you'll see the big successes, and then you'll see more playing time, or you'll see just having more fun and just being more together as a team.
Saige, the connection with Lexi up top, being able to be kind of a two-way threat all the time, this combination, passing back and forth. Has that been more of an emphasis, something that, it makes the two of you more dangerous individually when you make that extra pass to the other player? What have you done so far to kind of make that a strength of this team?
Yeah, I mean, me and Lexi have been playing together for years, back to the club days. So that's just kind of something that's natural for us. We play off each other well, pass and move off each other really well. So I'm just looking forward to that combination between us for the season. And we have a lot of great new forwards that came in, and then returners too. So building off those connections too and connecting with those players as well.
Jill, maybe a little bit like what Dave asked before, but you got the opportunity to play a lot in your freshman season, which not everyone gets. How do you feel like you've developed now heading into your sophomore year?
Yeah, I think I really used the offseason to just work on things I want to get better at, but also just get better at things I'm really good at. And I think now, as I enter my sophomore season, a lot of it is about you individually, but it's more about the team. I think I'm trying to step into more leadership roles, just making sure all the tight ends are just knotted and looped and looks great, because I think with more people with taking the leadership roles on the field and just helping out and just helping the new ones or just assisting anything that's needed, I think that makes us a really good team, is when everyone feels they can lead in their own way. You don't have to have the captain band.
Anything else for the ladies? Thanks, ladies.
I got one more. Playing Missouri State in the spring, does that give you a little bit of insight at all? Personnel-wise, they had changes, you had changes from last year. What did you learn about them as opposed to watching them against Iowa in the NCAA when, a lot of those players are not there anymore?
I think it definitely gives us a little bit of an advantage because we know pretty much their system, their style of play. So I'm excited to play them again. I think they're a good team. They always give us their best shot. And I know some of their players too. Some of them I played with during club. So I think it will be a good matchup, and I think we know about what they want to do. So I think we'll have a good game playing against them.
Who did you play with?
Abby Hansen, Riley Smith, and a couple other younger ones that were just in my club growing up.
What's it been like these last couple of weeks, just kind of having everyone back and also bringing in a bunch of new freshmen as well?
This year's experience is a lot different than last year's, in some mostly in good ways, right? There's the new excitement of being back together, whether that's returning and seeing familiar faces, or the infusion of excitement from the new talent, the new personalities. I've been impressed with how the respective groups have meshed. A shout out and kudos to our returning players, our leadership, in that it seemed integrated from day one. When you look up and at a team meal or out at the field, sure, the freshmen tend to stick together because they travel to and from the dorms together and stuff, but they integrate really quickly. In any of the team activities that we've had thus far, they've been willing to speak up and be brave and that's going to serve us well going forward. So we haven't had many challenges quite yet. We haven't had much adversity yet. That's when you really see the test of character within an individual or a team. But that's to come. But it's been a nice start thus far.
After the NCAA game last year, the first thing you said at the podium was, hopefully this fuels us into the off season. Did it?
It's a good question. I hope so. I think so. That was 8-9 months ago, and so it's hard to keep that sort of motivation, those feelings that were very raw in that moment, fresh. It's partly our job as a coaching staff to figure out how to channel that feeling that we had, where we thought we left something on the table, where we thought we could have kept playing, and with that comes a sense of urgency and a sense of desperation, which, like I said, it's hard to hold for 9 months leading into a season, and it's really hard to hold 3 months during a season. That's why only the best teams can be consistent and find ways to win week in and week out. Find ways to win on Thursday and then do it again on Sunday. And so we've been messaging it. We have some experience of now players understanding what it takes to compete at a certain level. It's their responsibility and job to try to pass that down to others. It's certainly our responsibility as a coaching staff. I do think we came in, quote unquote, ready for the most part. Our philosophy as a coaching staff is let the players have their summer, trust that they'll use that summer to their advantage and to our advantage. And day one, they'll show us instead of us, micromanaging every step of that way. And it was a good step coming back largely fit. I think that's a statement of intent. So it allowed us to, as we program the 16 days that we have from day one to opening kickoff, it allowed us to have a more advanced starting point than we had last year.
You had a great quote about there's going to be friction when you have a higher standard. And at some point it clicked late. Could you sense that everybody bought in when you won those 8 games in a row and 4 in the tournament, beat 17, you beat 7, that everybody was on the same page?
Yeah, great job with these quotes. I forgot I said some of these things. You do have a sense. I think when you have a team that's locked in, a team that's on the same page, and a team that's willing to work for each other, fight for each other, I think we as a coaching staff can feel that. On the flip side, I think there are moments when those elements are missing that we could feel it too, and I think that's where the friction can come. I'd like to think I know, and we as a coaching staff know, when we're hitting on all cylinders, when the buy-in's at a high level, when the connectedness is where it's supposed to be. And I think part of the teaching process and learning process last year was redefining what that looked like. If we're going to hopefully introduce a new standard, we have to hold a new standard, and that's not comfortable. And certainly I could be accused of, I bet you some of the players at some point are like, man, what does it take to make this guy happy? And the cool thing is, once we started clicking, so to speak, it was more fun to play for them, and it was more fun to coach for me, and that feeling didn't exist anymore because I was having as much fun as they were, and that's a hard place to get to. That takes some friction, that takes some adversity, takes some learning moments. We all wish it was that easy, but then all teams would be good. Then there wouldn't be a reason for us to all compete on Thursday and Sunday. And so we have to reintroduce it to this team. I think we'll find moments where we thought and assumed that they had, that a message that they understood last year all of a sudden transfers to this year, and then we'll probably face a harsh reality, and we'll have to teach it again, and all that comes with that. But hopefully there's less of those lessons. Hopefully we have, again, either a higher starting point or a quicker way to snap into what our expectations are, and that we can lean on some of that experience to just keep moving this program forward.
I was going to follow up on that because I remember during that run where you won out, basically, you guys talked a lot about looking back at the ones you let get away. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like this group, because of having gone through that, has kind of elevated themselves past, like, maybe not letting those things happen again? And I say letting because obviously there are 2 teams, but Correct. You see what I'm saying?
I really don't know, Matt. Yeah, like I'd like to think so, but we're all human, and it's if you look at any sport at any level, the team that just won, and hey, we lost our last game, so that's not necessarily us, but the team that just won makes it really hard to win again. And there is a level of complacency or forgetting what it took to the sacrifice that it took, the disease of more, disease of me, whatever Pat Riley's quote is. That's a real thing. And we are very aware of it. We coached some good teams that did some good things and have had this predicament before. We're going to do our best to find that right mix, that right balance of, hey, let's be proud of what we did. Let's use that as confidence, motivation, know-how, all those things. Like, we don't have to run from that. We should be proud. That should allow us to expect to win games that when we walk on the field. But there's the flip side of what makes us different and special as a program, in my opinion. What's always going to define this program, as long as I coach here, is a level of commitment and selflessness that other teams aren't willing to match, aren't willing to buy in together. And if we don't have that, we're not going to find the success we want or we need. We'll see. We'll see when on Thursday in the first match, and then as soon as that game's over, whenever anyone, please, some of y'all come and let's talk after. Win or lose, we're going to talk about Sunday right away and how Thursday didn't matter. And there's about 19 of those moments throughout a year, and you try to stack the good ones as much as you can.
As far as personnel goes, too, you had some girls who really broke out last year, some who got preseason recognition this year. Some of them are the same. Do you feel like there's an elevated confidence in some individuals on this team, just from A, delivering last year, and then B, some of the love they're getting here early?
I think so. I hope so. They should. Those are good players. There's a reason they were picked by our peers. The two who sat here, Saige and Jill, I think will have a lot to say about our attack this year and how many goals we could score and how dangerous we can be. Lexi, first team all-conference player, returning 9 goals. She scored quite a few in the spring. She looked real dangerous in our exhibition. That is an exciting thing about our program right now, as we return a lot of firepower. I would be very disappointed if we don't score more goals this year. I'd be very disappointed if we aren't considered a dangerous team, and all the individual stuff will come. So I think if we're able to accomplish those couple of objectives, when postseason awards come around, I think some of these same names might be getting some recognition and maybe even more than last year. But I don't know. It's the same speech as before. With that comes expectations. With that comes a scouting report that they're going to try to take away what you do. Our style, and Saige and Lexi up there, it might have taken people by surprise a little bit last year. I don't think it will this year. My bet is if we buy in and we see the best versions of those players, that they're going to be even more effective. But I think they look. I'll say, let's just say Lexi, Saige, Jill, who last year maybe every single game started as our front three. Those players look like they've been here, and they look like they are motivated for the year, and they look dangerous.
On the back line, and especially at center back, is kind of one of the few places where you have to replace some key contributors from last year, and you brought in transfers. Just how do you feel like that's coming together so far?
Yeah, that is the position I wish we had a little bit more time, right? That clock's ticking backwards. The second we hit the field on July 29th, and we knew that was going to be our biggest question mark, whether it was the players we lost, whether it's return to players trying to return from injury, whether it's integrating transfers or bringing in a freshman. That is the position that still has the most question marks, that we're still trying to figure out as a staff, that we have extra video, positional video here this afternoon, try to clean up some of the stuff that we saw on film the other day. I think, we've always played one exhibition, and whereas most programs play 2 or 3, I stand by that decision. In some ways, I wish we had another exhibition just for that position because it's really, really hard to replicate real reps, to have to respond to what an opponent does. When you only have to defend your team and the players you see every day in the system that we always play, it's not the same as answering questions and figuring out solutions on the fly, under pressure, while you're tired, against good players. And that, in one way, what a great experience that Iowa game was, preseason top 15 or whatever it may be, that we had to face live bullets, so to speak. But I think, it leaves us still with questions, quite frankly. I think we'll figure it out. I think we're waiting for the speech they're about to get is, hey, we're waiting for, why don't you solve this for us, right? I would love to have players step up and say, this is why I deserve an opportunity, and once I get that opportunity, I'm going to run with it. That very well may happen, but we're still figuring it out right now. There's a lot of people in the mix.
Coach, when you look at this team, there's always going to be a mystery with the first game of the season. Roster turnover happens. But what is it like now? You haven't seen what the other team's going to look like on tape because they really haven't played. In same way for your team. Has the head coach, is it more dramatically more difficult now in the age of that we're in right now?
Match one, kind of the unknown is, today's day and age, once you get about halfway through a season or even 3-4 games, someone on someone's staff has watched every minute you played, right? And it's easy now to click on a button and you could see every set piece a team has run. And so all the stuff that used to take forever is quicker, but it also means that we have access to everything. And so, whoever's in charge of scout at whatever school, my huge shout out goes to them, because I know the next 3 months of your life are going to be challenging. We split that duty a little bit here, but there are some certain coaches that take the brunt of it. We will do our best to prepare our team and show what the team has done in the past, kind of talk through the players they've lost, maybe even look at the players they returned and transferred. Iowa had a bunch of transfers in, and we tried to speculate. I think the one good thing about our program in this particular situation is I think our game plan, our scout, our messaging to the team is much less opponent dependent. So we're always going to try to do the same things. The coaching points are always going to be the same. The adjustments, our job, honestly, as we sit in coaching meetings, is whatever adjustment we make, smallest adjustment to the fewest people possible. That's our objective. And I think that hopefully allows our team to not have any sort of questioning of our own identity or our own tactics. And that applies to Missouri State, who we don't know what they're going to do on game one, and that will apply to maybe the best team in the country, Florida State, that we play in a couple weeks, where if you do a scouting report, you could start getting pretty nauseous pretty quick, because it's well, that's the best forward in the country. That's if we start micromanaging every little detail about that, we're going to lose our identity, and we're going to play slow, and it's going to be a long night. And so as we approach even that game, I'm going to kind of give the same answer, which is genuine, of they're going to get the Kansas soccer that they see on film without much difference. And, I don't think our team's a little bit different. Our we're always trying to evolve, but people should always know what they're going to get when they face us. It's not going to change that much.
Livy made a comment this morning. She's never been around a team that's this close, that has bonded like this. Everybody tries to do that, but few are able to accomplish it. How do you explain that?
Well, Livy's a pretty awesome kid herself, and so she sets herself up for success in that way. Came in with an open mind and an open heart. Left a program that she was, I believe, captaining, and so I think it helps when you kind of understand, the burden that can place on people, and that every culture is someone that everyone has ownership in, not just the named captains. That's something that we try to stress to this team is, hey, you might have just shown up here day one, but this is just as much your team as it is someone else's. And I wish I could take credit for it. It's, we try to create a culture that's welcoming and open, and But we have just a good group of people to start with, and ones that are hopefully hungry and want to be good, and they know to be good. It sure helps if you can infuse people and talent naturally, and everyone plays better when they're comfortable. And which can be hard to do under me, quite honestly. Like that's why it's just tough for new players. Like, hey, we do things a little bit differently, and you're going to be. My job, in some way, shape, or form, is to have you understand what you should be doing on the field, what your teammate expects you to do on the field, and with that comes a certain amount of communication that's sometimes easy and sometimes hard. And again, like I think that's where our team can set other players up for success, explaining the why, explaining their own journey, their ups and downs, how they grew through it. And yeah, we just have a good group of people right now, and hopefully the good vibes that we have on day whatever last through the season.